The film begins with a haunting view of space, where we see the broken pieces of the USCSS Nostromo. A probe sent by the Weyland-Yutani Company discovers a sample from the wreckage of the ship. After that, a group of scientists takes the remains of the Xenomorph with them to study it more closely. In the Jackson Star mining colony, Rain Carradine, who has no family, spends her days working with her android companion, Andy, who is a bit broken, but she calls him her brother. Working tirelessly on the mining colony, Rain is desperate to leave, so she confronts her contractor, hoping to end her term. But her hopes are crushed when she informs her that her contract has been extended by another 6 years. While she is talking with her, she sees some troublemaking kids attacking Andy, and she rushes to help that android and quickly repairs it. Shortly after that, Rain gets a video from her former boyfriend, Tyler, asking her to bring Andy along for a secret mission. Rain and Andy reach Tyler's base, where they meet up with his sister Kay, their cousin Bjorn, and Navarro, who is the pilot for their crew. They are all excited about their plan to sneak into an old Weyland-Yutani ship to grab cryostasis pods that will help them travel safely to the planet Ivaga, a journey that will take 9 years. Andy is really important for this mission because he can get into the ship's terminal, since he was also made by Wei Yu. Although Rain is worried about the risks and the possibility of getting into trouble, she starts leaving the place, but Tyler manages to persuade her to go along with the plan. The 6 friends hop onto a mining ship called the Corbelan and they take off. Soar high above Jackson's star, getting as close to the sun as they can. When they reach the station, they notice it's split into 2 parts, Romulus and Remus. Andy teams up with Tyler and Bjorn to search for the pods. At the same time, Rain is busy looking after Kay, who has just vomits. Rain soon realizes that Kay is pregnant and the father is some jerk, but when she offers to talk to Tyler, Kay insists on keeping it a secret. While searching for the pods, Bjorn treats Andy poorly, and Navarro explains to Rain that this behavior comes from Bjorn's anger over his mother's death in a mine collapse. She died because a synthetic made the choice to save more miners by sacrificing her and 2 others. When they finally reach the pods, they discover only 5 are available since Andy wasn't supposed to go to Ivaga due to the rules against synthetics, and they only have enough fuel for 3 years of cryostasis. As they explore further, they stumble upon a lab where Andy prevents Bjorn from stepping into a dangerous hole, and they also find the upper half of another synthetic. Continuing their journey, they enter a room that suddenly locks them in as the ship goes into lockdown mode. Nearby, they notice a wall filled with frozen facehuggers starting to thaw out, which adds to the tension of the situation. Rain and Navarro rush to assist their friends while Kay takes a rest. They discover the synthetic, which momentarily comes back to life before Rain takes out its module to swap it with the one Andy has. Tyler helps with the replacement, and Andy takes a second to reboot. Suddenly, the facehuggers start leaping into the water, and one almost lands on Bjorn's face. As Rain struggles to force the door open, Andy finally wakes up and prevents a facehugger from reaching Tyler. The group quickly escapes the room, but the facehuggers begin to chase them at a fast pace. They manage to close the door behind them, but unfortunately, Navarro ends up with a facehugger clinging to her. The crew is working hard to get the facehugger off Navarro, while Andy is rebooting himself to be more dedicated to Wei Yu. To find a way to save Navarro, they connect the dead synthetic named Rook to a machine to bring him back to life. When Rook comes back to life, he warns them that they are in serious trouble because a Xenomorph is about to show up. He points out a dead Xenomorph, the same one that attacked the Nostromo and was ejected into space by Ripley. Rook explains that the researchers on the Romulus were killed by this creature when it was still alive, and even after it was shot, its acid blood destroyed the remaining parts of the ship. Then, Rain suggests they freeze the facehugger's tail to detach it from Navarro. This plan works, and Navarro wakes up, but Rook warns that she is still in danger because of what is coming next. Bjorn and Navarro make a frantic dash for the Corbelan. As they run, Navarro suddenly feels ill and uses an X-ray flashlight, revealing a horrifying sight. A chestburster is developing inside her. Kay watches in terror as Navarro collapses, foaming at the mouth. In a gruesome moment, the chestburster erupts from her chest, killing her instantly and leaving Kay horrified by the brutal scene. In her final convulsions, Navarro inadvertently kicks a lever, triggering a catastrophic chain reaction that sends the Corbelan crashing into the Romulus's hangar bay. The ship careens towards the Jackson Star asteroid belt, and the crew realizes they have less than an hour to escape the impending disaster. Rain and Tyler head to the hangar while Rook has a crucial conversation with Andy about their purpose as Wei Yu synthetics. After their discussion, Andy rejoins the group, and they quickly devise a plan to raise the station's temperature to reduce their visibility to the Xenomorphs. Upon entering the hangar, they're met with a gruesome sight: the lifeless bodies of the Romulus crew. Meanwhile, Kay and Bjorn are trying to escape, but their path leads them straight to the Xenomorph that emerged from Navarro. In a desperate attempt, Bjorn tries to use a cattle prod to fry the creature. However, the Xenomorph retaliates, leaking its corrosive acid blood onto him. The acid begins to burn through his skin, causing excruciating pain until a large drop finally lands on his chest, sealing his fate. Kay reaches out to Tyler while the Xenomorph chases her. She manages to get to the group waiting outside the hangar, but Andy realizes that the Xenomorph is trying to trick them into opening the door so it can attack. He decides not to assist Kay, even though Rain argues with him, accidentally revealing to Tyler that his sister is expecting a baby. Just then, the Xenomorph seizes Kay and drags her away, out of view. In a fit of anger, Rain slaps Andy, but she soon feels guilty about her reaction. Now fully focused on his directives aligned with Wei Yu's interests, Andy leads Rain and Tyler into the lab, where they discover a disturbing human and alien DNA mixture that Rook identifies as the Prometheus strain. A video begins to play, showcasing a test performed on a rat using this mixture, which astonishingly allows the rat to heal from its sickly condition. To prepare for the Xenomorph threat, Andy hands Rain and Tyler M41 pulse rifles for protection. As they leave the lab, they don't realize that the video continues, revealing something terrifying growing from the rat, ultimately showing a dead rat Xenomorph hybrid trapped in its cage. As the three friends make their way down a long corridor, they stumble upon Kay, who is trapped in a Xenomorph cocoon. She is unconscious but still alive. Tyler is about to use a DNA sample to try to save her, but Rain intervenes, urging him to help Kay stand up so they can escape to the ship. Suddenly, a Xenomorph attacks, snatching Tyler with its tail and brutally killing him by thrusting its second mouth into his face. Rain quickly helps Kay to safety, encouraging her to reach the ship while she heads back to find Andy. Once Rain is gone, Kay decides to inject herself with the DNA sample, and she does. Rain quickly finds Andy and removes the module, hoping to restore him to his original self. However, Rook warns them that their chances of escaping are slim. Just when they start to lose hope, Rain has a clever idea to turn off the gravity on the ship as a swarm of Xenomorphs approaches. As they float in the air, Rain shoots at the aliens, taking them down but also splattering their acidic blood everywhere, putting her in danger of drifting into it. Luckily, she uses the kickback from her rifle to push herself away and eventually finds safety. Rain and Andy then ride the elevator up, but just as gravity kicks back in, Rain begins to fall. The main Xenomorph grabs her with its tail, but Andy swoops in and takes it out with Tyler's rifle, dramatically telling the creature to back off before rescuing Rain. Rain and Andy board the Corbelan with Kay just as the Romulus descends toward the asteroid belt. Rook makes one last effort to persuade Andy to stick to the Wei Yu plan of bringing the sample back to the company, but they ignore him, and he ends up getting destroyed along with the rest of the station. Rain places Kay in a cryopod as they make their way to Ivaga. Unfortunately, Kay's health starts to decline because the DNA mixture is affecting her pregnancy. Her belly is fully grown, and she is going through an incredibly painful labor. Rain assists her as Kay lays an egg-like pod that contains a human Xenomorph hybrid. When Rain tries to take the egg out, the acid from it makes it slip through the grates. She rushes off to find a weapon for help, but when she returns to Kay, the child has already matured into a creature resembling the engineers and is feeding on Kay, ultimately leading to her death. Andy is also left in a terrible state. Rain puts on her spacesuit as the temperature inside the ship begins to plummet. She realizes that she needs to detach the cargo pod from the ship because the damage caused by the offspring's birth is making it drift dangerously close to the asteroid belt. As she pulls the levers to release the pod, the offspring suddenly attacks her, and they both end up outside, clinging on for their lives. Rain uses her harness to pull the final lever, sending the cargo pod and the terrifying creature into the asteroid belt, where they will eventually turn to space dust. After that intense moment, Rain carefully places Andy into one of the cryopods. Before she goes into stasis herself, she records a last log entry on their journey to Ivaga. Although she feels uncertain about what awaits them, she remains hopeful and believes she can face any challenges that come their way. In this way, movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more interesting movie recaps.